Hello, everybody. This is Thomas Zachary, and this is the next episode of the KAAMP. That is the Knoxville Area Artist Networking Platform. And today we have someone that I've come in professional contact with at the Coliseum and have remained in contact with since my employment there has ended. And now he's on the show. So, Jeff, will you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, good to talk with you, and haven't chatted in a while. But yeah, Jeff Carr here, and live in Knoxville for about 5 years and coach with the Ice Bears, and had the pleasure of working kind of alongside you for a few years.
Yeah, the Zamboni shenanigans is a good time. I recently got a Zamboni tattoo. Next time I see you in person, I'll show you.
I can't wait to see it.
It's great. So, Jeff, if you don't mind me asking, I'm going to cut right to it. How did you get into coaching?
Yeah, it was interesting. I played a lot of sports, baseball, football, hockey during season, and then kind of out of season, so enjoyed basketball and golf and some other things, and kind of knew I was always organizing teams and pretty competitive guy, I guess, whatever sport I'm playing. And I ended up not playing out of junior hockey when I was 20 for baseball or hockey, and kind of hit a low in my life of kind of going for it mentality, and just kind of was like the end of the road, and reality sets in, and moved down to North Carolina. When I came back, I was kind of at a low point in my life, and I felt like the identity of hockey, and grew up in a big hockey tradition. So, I guess long story short, I was 21 years old, and my high school hockey coach, his wife got reassigned on a job, and they took over kind of more of a football program an hour and a half away, and I was working construction with my dad, and lucky enough with my family to allow and support while I wasn't in college or anything, and really didn't have much of an identity to go down and coach as an assistant varsity hockey coach in high school up in Wisconsin when I was 21. So I was really young at the time, and it was just an awesome experience. Then kind of led me to a lot of different levels and such not since then. So
you said you grew up in a hockey tradition, so you had multiple generations of your family play hockey, or
my
your
family
family?
Yeah, my family actually didn't, but the town overtook. I guess it'd be the equivalent of a basketball or hockey family moving to Texas. My family's all from Illinois. They moved up to northern Wisconsin when my grandparents did, and that town just had a hockey hotbed, the Wisconsin Hockey Hall of Fame, the oldest rink. The Coliseum looks like a brand new rink compared to the rink I grew up in. So I think 1960 is the Coliseum, 1928 is the rink I grew up in.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, big time tradition. A lot of guys go on to play juniors in college, and kind of that. We had one guy playing the NHL, so it was one of those things where when I was young, just kind of overtook, and then I moved to Illinois for 4 or 5 years during the Bulls and Michael Jordan era. Got more into basketball, and then when we moved back to northern Wisconsin, Eagle River, got right back into it and haven't looked back.
So a question to tie this all back to Knoxville: what is coaching in Knoxville like for you?
Oh man, it's incredible. I mean, it is. It really is. I've really come to realize what a party kind of atmosphere all sports is. But the one thing that people in Knoxville, whether it's at Ice Bear games, football games, baseball, basketball, I mean, with 2022, everyone's on their phone 24/7. When you guys or people are at these sporting events, I don't see people on their phone. I see them watching. Like, they love the sport. They love winning. They love that. So for me, again, the competitiveness and having fans that are so passionate and competitive, it's incredible. And just to have, basically a pro team minus a few years, for 60 plus years in the South, speaks volumes for the city and for just everything associated with the Ice Bears in Knoxville.
Yeah, Ice Bears is steeped in Knoxville and vice versa. Knoxville's had a hockey team for quite a while, and for a city this size and its geographic location in this country, a hockey team doesn't seem like the thing everybody would be all about. But luckily, the Ice Bears have a huge following.
Yeah, no, I was blown away, and it's one of those organizations you can always feel when you grew up in hockey, kind of the Hershey Bears, and you kind of know some of the minor leagues, the Knoxville Ice Bears for our league, the Toledo Walleye in the ECHL, these kind of hidden gems in the country, and Knoxville is definitely one.
Well, I'm glad. Did you have that opinion before you came here? Did you know about Knoxville before you were coaching?
Well, the only thing I really knew about Knoxville, a little bit when I was working in the ECHL about some of the SHL, is we had a player that was a good player for Knoxville that we called up, and a defenseman, and I coached him out in Utah. And he just wasn't getting the playing time as much as he thought. And, he kind of knew he was going to retire at the end of the year and get into some medical stuff. So I think he really wanted to enjoy his last year. And he kind of quit our team and went right back to Knoxville. And I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, we're 2 steps from the NHL, and this guy wants to go to a league west. And that kind of really caught my eye. And I said that in my press conference, 5 years ago. So I didn't know a ton about it, but I knew that they had a great organization, and I knew the fans and the support, and it was kind of, like I said, a hidden gem.
Well, cool. So is there a way you can tell us sort of about your professional coaching journey from what'd you say, junior varsity all the way to the SPHL?
Yeah, I guess the short version of it, you can obviously stop me and if you got any questions along the way, but
that goes both ways. If you have questions, feel free to ask them too.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the linear side is, at 21 I'm coaching there, and then I got back into playing again and went baseball and hockey route up in college. I felt like I didn't give it everything up at college. I actually had 2 to 3 concussions in juniors. They weren't bad at all. And then I got a concussion early in training camp, and my head was pretty messed up for about a month. And, I think, looking past that, I knew it was messed up. I actually missed about a month of school, but this thing just started eating at me that I used to play and work so hard in sports. And then somewhere along the lines of age 19 to 22, 23, I was almost watching myself in a movie, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself, to be honest, with the competitiveness that I've lost, and, battling through adversity. I had a tough family that, just all outdoor hardworking, construction, farming, those types of people. And, I could have came back from that injury, and I hung it up again. And it ate at me. And I promised myself at age 23, when I was just now playing college baseball, that I'll never do that again. And hockey was always my love. So when I got back into it from there, I went to grad school at Bemidji State, which is kind of a hockey hotbed in northern Minnesota. I coached Phantoms, which is 14, 15-year-olds, for 2 years. Time of my life with those young kids, and just kind of, really getting kind of like the Mighty Ducks movie, a pack of misfits together and being proud of each other. We're done with that. Accepting an assistant coaching job in junior hockey, which is, mostly 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds out west in Salt Lake. I was an assistant there from 2012 and 13, and then in January, we were a pretty floundering team. The present GM fired the head coach. I guess gave me the interim head coaching job. Got the team pretty competitive with, all hands on deck from the players down to the ownership group. Got welcomed back on a contract, and then kind of we turned it around the next year, had a really successful season. That was 2013-14 and back in 14-15. And then from there, I was looking at other Tier 2 junior jobs all around the North American League, and actually went with our rival. Kind of got cherry-picked by that team. And so the team that was just down the road, that I guess it'd be like Tennessee and Alabama football, a guy doing that. So I went from head coach to associate coach there. Awesome program in the Ogden Mustangs. And then in 16-17, I got a call for an assistant job in the ECHL, which was with the San Diego Wells and Anaheim Ducks affiliate. Did that for a year, and then the rest is history. The next 5 with Knoxville Ice Bears.
That's not a short list.
Yeah, 6 levels, 13, 14 years, blink of an eye, but it's been awesome.
So is there any through line between all these different coaching opportunities that you see as a consistency of coaching in these different areas of the sport?
Yeah, I missed part of that. Did you say just like some of the similarities? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I need to remember to speak into my microphone because I'm using a different microphone than what I normally use.
No.
But yeah, are there any similarities across coaching as a whole, even though you've been in so many different coaching scenarios?
Yeah, a couple things. It's funny you said that. I learned a lot more from going to these job interviews and not getting jobs and seeing. And then eventually when you go on enough job interviews, you see what you don't want to go work for. Because, when you're young, you're just begging for a dollar amount to keep a roof over your head and
right.
kind of a decent environment. You don't really kind of look at the big picture. But, yeah, two similarities. Number one, teams that have a foundation that they look at themselves in the mirror at the end of the year and they can be proud with what they gave. Those organizations usually do pretty darn good because they'll stay committed to themselves and the plan. And then the second is just players. I don't care if a player's 14 years old or 24 or makes $50 or makes $1 million a year. All players want to do is be told the truth. And the higher level player, they want to be pushed and just be honest with. So I think attracting players and talent and people that also want to be pushed. That's what we've kind of done in Knoxville. And, it took me a lot of times where I would make plea deals, right, with players and this and that. And every day there's, psychology and coaching and all that. But good, true, honest players that work hard just want to be told the truth. And we've got a ton of them here in Knoxville.
So the people are the constant. The players are the constant.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think, too, another constant that I learned from a valuable lesson at a young age is taking as much possible time as you can as a coach. And what that means is it's basically the exact opposite of what we're taught. We're taught our whole time, be punctual, be on time, be prepared, be organized. And then when it comes down to decision making, you need to make as long as possible time and as delayed as much time.
Right.
For even an example, you get, you're up early in the morning, you have a practice plan, you have all these organizations, you have what you want to build your identity, and then you have a player that you're on a fence about for a trade or cut or whatever. Well, if you shoot the gun a little bit too early on it or pull the trigger, whatever you want to say, it's all of a sudden, you're like, man, 24 hours, I could have got this from the deal, or 24 hours, that would have happened. Like, you've got to wait to the last possible second to play out. And that was really, really hard for me early in my career.
Is that just coaching, or is that specific to hockey?
That is sports and management. Like, if you know that you need to get something accomplished and done and, the ship has sailed on something, yes. But if you're unsure of something, I guess what's the famous saying? If you're unsure of something, the answer is no, right? Yeah. So if I want to trade someone and I can't sleep on it at night and I don't know, then the answer is no. Don't do anything with it.
Yeah, if you can't confidently say yes, then don't.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're young or when, you can go out and a guy could, you could be like, I'm going to trade this guy because he's not gelling with the team. He's making poor decisions. He showed up late to the facility. And then he scores 2 goals in back-to-back games in front of sellout fans. Now do you keep him because of what just happened? So, those types of decisions, again, you got to stick with your gut, but you got to take a lot of time on those. And I think another thing is just, tuning out all distractions at the very beginning, very middle, and the very end of your season. Everyone is going to try to detract from you as a coach, all of your brain power early in the season, and then around Christmas time, and then at the end of the year. You just got to do a really good job of tuning that stuff out.
And that has a lot to do with the focus and determination to stay on task.
Yeah, I think so. We spend all these summer days and nights dreaming up the type of teams we want and how we're going to do things, and then it's like lights, camera, action, and then you start realizing, what am I giving all my time to sometimes, and just the impact you can make on guys, spending extra time with them. Guys are smart. We've talked about this and blanks even too. It doesn't matter if you're, a sport or a business or a job. It's just the little, details of, a player coming up to me saying, man, we have great ice. And then me saying to you guys, hey, appreciate you guys edging the ice. Our guys love it. It's just like those little comments and those little things sometimes mean way more than, a bonus check at Christmas time, or guys that are just, get newspaper clippings and stuff. It's, I guess, kind of the family within the family of comments.
Well, those more finesse communications that I would have on staff with you and your players always felt really important to me, because, I know how to do the ice, but I don't know how you guys like the ice, because I know how to make ice, but y'all play on it all the time. So I wanted to make sure it was good for y'all, even if it was good for me or not. So that was how I saw that as the context of my professional application to hockey. But
it's huge. It's huge. Good ice is, it's the first and last thing guys are going to comment on every day.
Yeah, it's the thing everybody has to deal with.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So what are so I've never coached anything or anyone other than myself, pretty much. So what are some things you've taken out of coaching and applied to your life just as a normal everyday person in society?
Man, what a great question. Man, that's a good one. the biggest thing with coaching is we all want to go 100-0. We all want to be undefeated. We all want to win everything. But there truly is this maturation of this journey and this process. And it's so cliche, but it's so true. It's so easy to, we talk about it all the time, of people that are giving energy or taking energy. And I think, letting the journey play its course and, giving, free will, your best effort, that's for sure. But that a chance to maturate. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's, things aren't always going to go well, but this, I've been working on this lately. I feel like I was average at it, but now I laugh at myself. Like, man, I was the worst of anyone about 10 years ago at this. But, you work with a group or a people or a team, and are you the employee or the coach or the player that just people have to take a deep breath before they even talk to you?
Oh, right.
You're a hack. And eventually when you take a giant step back, you're like, okay, in what areas do people have to deal with me as a deep breath? Like, I don't want my players, let's say we're doing a film session and they've all had multiple different coaches from college and juniors, and they want to learn, but, no human being, unless it's the subject they really want to, wants to sit in a dark room and watch video of critiques on themselves for hours on end. They want 30 seconds to a minute, max. So, as a coach, you put all this film together all through the middle of the night, and you get up in the morning, you're prepared, and then all of a sudden you show them 20 minutes, and you're like, man, I'm more confused than I was before I even came in. I can't imagine these guys. So just trying to be more simple and say what you mean and mean what you say. Let the journey play out. And like I said, I just don't want people to take a giant deep breath when they hear my name.
So in that vein, is there some kind of conflict or complementary action about knowing what you can and cannot control when it comes to being a coach?
Oh man, that's dead on. Yeah, you don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, I think you take your DNA, your experience, as much as you can, your gut, but there are just so many things out of control. I look at our playoffs, we set the all-time record. Our organization was just beyond incredible. Player, staff, owners, fans, everything. And then all of these catastrophic injuries, happen.
Yeah, you had two players break their hands, right?
Two players break their hands.
Somebody left him for a family emergency and something else.
Yeah, his brother got shot. Steph Fishing was out for a game from a league, getting suspended for getting jumped off a bench, and then JB Baker was on the IR. So it was basically 5 players, and you're sitting there like, how did this happen to us? And again, 24 hours after the game, in my mind, I'm blaming it 100% on all injuries. We won game one. I did a terrible job of stepping way back from the situation and realizing, and I learned two valuable things from this playoff series. Number one, it's not about the systems and the marker board and the X's and O's. We had a group of guys that would have done anything for each other, and I should have went to a trap, which is basically playing it safe and, capitalizing on their turnovers. We didn't do any trap for 56 games. So it's like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to confuse them and tell them now we're going to do a trap. I woke up the second day after our season ended and I said, the biggest thing with the hardest working guys or the best people that you coach and manage, they don't care what you give them. It's like the military. They'll go put the task in hand and get the job done. And I feel like we could have trapped in game 2 or 3 because we were so decimated from injuries. You live and you learn. And then the second one is, nothing with Jimmy, or we had two of I think the best goalies in the league, but Christian Stead was here for the bulk of it, and he shaved his hair into kind of a mullet for playoffs. He had only two losses for the season. So you look at this guy that's just been determined, and he won, and he's in it, and he gets his hair cut away, and he's all chipped in. And then I don't play him until I pull Jimmy in the game 3. Again, it's always 20/20 hindsight. If you don't raise up the championship, you're going to always question yourself and decisions. But two big lessons I learned is if you have the right group of people, give them any task, they will carry it out. So don't be scared of doing that. And number 2 is, a guy that's all chipped in my gut. I knew I should have started him just for the final game, not the first 2. I went away from my gut and went with the decision that we were going to start the starter that started the first 2 games. So you live and you learn.
So as a coach in Knoxville, what do you like to present to a Knoxville team as a coach?
You mean like when they come into training camp?
Yeah. Specifically the types of players you're going to get here, the kinds you want to keep, the kinds you really want to coach up. Like what kind of squad are you trying to build, more or less? Yeah,
well, it's tough. You can't bring in too much talent or they'll all go to the ECHL at this level. Our ownership doesn't want to hear that. Our president, our vice president, I'm not sure if they want to hear it. It's the reality of the business. It sucks, but if you bring in 20 guys that are AHL, ECHL good, they're all going to be gone. So there's a conflict there. So you got to bring in some puzzle pieces. The 3 things that we want number 1, guys that won't embarrass the city or themselves in Knoxville. I'm not going to micromanage. I'm not going to give them curfew times. They're grown men. They're in their 20s. We understand they're going to make some decisions, and it's a rambunctious physical sport. We understand that, but don't embarrass yourself or the city. The second thing is I want guys that love hockey. If you don't love hockey as much as me, I don't want to coexist with you. You can be a goofy guy, a weird guy, a typical jock guy, a quiet guy. I don't care.
But if somebody's going to play on ice under you, they need to love hockey as much as
you. Yeah. Just get exposed. Every day I'm going to just be in your face 24/7 with head games until you love hockey, or I'm going to cut or trade you. That's the bottom line. Because I'm not going to respect a guy that doesn't love hockey with knowing how much our ownership, our fans, our front office, our work staff working 48 hours without sleep to change over ice, and then have a guy go take ice on there that doesn't love hockey. That's not going to work. So those 2, and then we want guys that want to jump over the boards in situations. So, in football, maybe you build out through a center, an offensive tackle at the end, and then your quarterback or whatever, and then everything else comes, secondary. In hockey, it's always your goalie out and then centerman. Kind of like a trunk of the tree, right? So for me, it's not so much about centerman or this or that. I want guys that want to hop over the boards and they want to play. They want to be out there for the big moments. They want those shifts. So that's kind of the guys we recruit. And then obviously there's some fine tune with some toughness and, other things.
So okay, let me ask this way. What are pieces of the coaching equation that you enjoy and dislike when it comes to managing a whole ass group of 20-something men to play hockey?
Oh man, I could write 100 things that I love about it. I mean, you get guys that you find out about their home lives. You actually, you can have conversations. They're not kids, so you can have conversations about real life, and whether it be workouts or what they saw in college or different cultures or finance and money and life and just all those kind of just enjoyable conversations if you like people. These guys are still chasing the ECHL and AHL and NHL, and anytime you're chasing something or have a light for something, you're gonna be motivated. I mean, I love a million things about all the stuff with that. There's not really much that I dislike in the coaching. I'm not good with computers and Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff, so I just try to stay away from it and just not lie about it. And I'm not trying to be the world's best Microsoft Excel spreadsheet guy, so I'm just a pen and paper kind of guy. But paperwork and recruiting sometimes, and knowing a lot of these guys that you're going to bend over backwards as an organization to bring in, they might be here for one day and their agent then have them gone. And, I mean, it's part of it. It's like anything right now. You see the transfer portal in college sports. You see the NIL deals. You see the freedom speeches and walks and talk. We're living in a culture and a generation where everyone feels like they want to just, they can leave at any time after 6 months, 3 days, whatever they want. It's just the reality of the situation. Hopefully we can attract guys and players and staff, men and women that want to be here and want to give the Ice Bears the time to have.
So obviously you enjoy a bunch, but what are the difficult parts of managing that many personalities for a common goal?
Well, you're managing 90 personalities. You're managing the 20-25 staff and players, the 20-25 parents that, are in their ear. You're managing the 20 to 25 agents that they all have that they think that they should be at a different level or more playing time. And then you're managing the fact that, we're running a business. So, you get flipped on a sideways deal, and a travel and a payment and 3 or 4 broken sticks, and a player leaves and you order them skates, skates, the 3-2 sticks, the travel, the everything like that. You basically spent $3,000 on a player for an agent to tell you, hey, thanks for my three days in Knoxville, we're leaving. And then you got to answer to that. So there's a lot of hidden things behind closed doors. You can make trades for players and then them not report, right?
Yeah.
And then you lost another guy. So there's a lot of those things. The transactions, the up and down. Every year, we have 50 plus players, and I laugh because, it's October 15th and we do a team building event, right?
Yeah.
And then it's November 1st and we talk about team building again. And then you look at that roster and realize we've had 30 plus players change in and out in the next 3 months. So it's like, should we do team building and buy into that, or does it not matter and just show up and do your job? And I think we did a lot more blend of just show up and do your job to start the year, and I'm glad we did it that way, versus, doing all these team building stuff. And then eventually, we got to know if guys can play. This isn't youth hockey, guys are getting paid to do this. So I think spending a little more time at the end of the year doing the team building stuff really helped us.
That seems like a good way to do that, considering you're trying to have a very cohesive unit to head into the playoffs with. Yeah,
we 7-game winning streak. We do a Airbnb Nashville trip. The guys get to go on. Try to do a team bowling event. We'll do some lunches. Yeah, our organization's really good with allowing kind of all that type of stuff.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's, from my point of view, I didn't have a whole lot of eyes on the Ice Bear organization outside of the ice itself. So I'm glad to hear that management likes to get behind the team in such a manner.
Yeah, and it's huge. Sometimes that stuff costs money, and again, without our fans, without the support, we wouldn't have money to run an operation that we run, whether it's from the apartments and the travel and
even the bus we have. I mean, it's an incredible sleeper bus that our guys get, and much needs rest. And Rusty Lavery does our massage therapy, and Doc Butcher with chiropractic, and I mean, just endless amounts of resources with Doc Kennett and the medical team and our equipment management and everything else. I mean, it takes time, invested interest, and money, and it works.
And you've got the same level of skill and enthusiasm coming from every angle to make sure all that happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And it takes people with a lot of passion and energy to make it work.
So let's switch gears here a little bit and talk about inspirations. Are there any coaches that you look up to or have worked with that inspire you? Are there any coaches that have shaped your style of coaching that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I had a guy named Tom Obradovich. He's in his 70s. He played at the University of Wisconsin, and he was a huge he could have played in the NHL in the 70s. He chose. His dad ended up passing away in college, so he went in the early 1970s, late 60s, and did an automotive shop, a Ford dealership up in Eagle River, and then he was a high school coach. They won 3 state titles. And then he got in, and we needed a youth coach when I was a 10-year-old, a scored hockey level, and 4th, 5th grade. He took over, and we won the state tournament. And his life lessons, I still talk to him probably once a week. I talked to him again today. He's an incredible mentor. He played for Bob Johnson, who's obviously legendary at the University of Wisconsin. And that was kind of the foundation at my youth level. My high school hockey coach, Jacques Hubert, was pretty instrumental to me. He's been around, obviously. And then you move forward into kind of the, Gord Franny was huge. Mike Murray's been there for me. Those guys just kind of like working alongside and picking their brain and just all those things. And then I was fortunate enough to Tony Granato, who played on Wayne Gretzky's line. He's coached the Red Wings, the Penguins, the Avalanche, all of them. He's at the University of Wisconsin. I've gotten to pick his brain, and just the time he spent 45 minutes on the phone with me the night before they were playing the Washington Capitals and Ovechkin to help me decide on who I should pick for a captain when I coached junior hockey. So just to spend 45 minutes on the phone for all of those things were pretty instrumental. And I mean, that's kind of my handful. Obviously, there's a lot more than just that, but those guys are the biggest inspirations right now.
Well, can you elaborate on how they've influenced your coaching style?
Well, I'll go back to just very simple, maybe a point or two. I guess Tom Obradovich was so big on just attitude and the passion and energy for the game and giving at the younger level. My high school coach, Jacques, he's a guy that he's just so simple, and he didn't overcomplicate anything. So I guess, keeping to the passion and simplicity from those two. Gord Franny is really a hockey architect and intellectual that I had coaching juniors. He was so big on details. I mean, we used to talk about every decision of everything you could possibly imagine every day. From a guy, if a skinny guy lost 2 pounds at practice, he's like, you better have an extra Gatorade in a stall and an extra team meal on the road. If one player had a bad attitude, and he's around a young rookie, then he wanted us to move him in his stall. I mean, he was an absolute Nick Saban architect of the game of hockey on every decision. And, again, I talked about passion and simplicity, and then you get that. So it's just such a nice balance. And then you have Mike Murray, who's been around and played at multiple different levels and ran such a great, successful organization with the Ice Bears, that not only his playing and business side and what he sees, that's been huge for me. And he's a guy, I've never seen him in 5 years, get mad and yell or scream. And, I'd probably yell and scream 8 days a week for the first 10 years of my coaching career. So having that balance was huge. And then, at the end, Tony Granato, I mean, just an incredible human being that's coached the world's best players, from Sidney Crosby to, Zetterberg and Datsuk, and then playing alongside and best friends with Wayne Gretzky, just an incredible man of God, and reminds me a lot of kind of a tenacious Rick Barnes kind of figure.
That's also not a short list of influences from other coaches. That's a good list. I like that. I think simplicity is important in most aspects of life, so I'm glad that's something you take into your coaching ethos.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, how long have you done this podcast now?
I've been at this, so I'm in year 2. I recorded the first one in December of 2020 and released it in February of 2021. And this is going to be episode 37 or so when this one goes live.
And what made you say, okay, I'm doing this, and actually pull the trigger on it?
Well, when COVID hit, I realized all of a sudden that people weren't going out to art shows because people weren't going out. And me being me, I didn't think that was very cool because I'm the creative person that I am. And I thought, what's a way that art can get to the people in a way that is safe for society in this moment, because lockdowns and, the whole 9 yards that we went through as a society about it and are still kind of going through. But Knoxville closed down. A lot of people work from home, all that jazz. And I realized, I listen to podcasts all the time. Other people listen to podcasts all the time. Maybe I could sit down and generate some kind of audio format media with other artists or other people that I enjoy, that I want to talk to, that I want to pick their brain. And then I could share that as the art with people through, the avenue that is podcasting. And then, took a leap of faith and bought the equipment and started talking to people with a microphone that was recording things. And so far, it's been a damn good time, if I say so myself.
How much equipment did you have to buy?
I bought 2 microphone stands, a soundboard, and downloaded some free software.
Not too bad, huh?
But no, not too bad. And there are other devices. There's a multitude of devices out there for soundboards that I could use. So I just picked the one I wanted and bought it. But this is all something I had never done before. Never edited audio really more than for some college video projects. Never formally hosted any sort of conversation in the manner that I am right now. I'd never, organized or strategized or executed anything in this manner because normally I work in visual art and usually still images. So it was a very different level of undertaking and body of knowledge that I had to expose myself to make this at least listenable. So the first couple episodes are a little rough, but the last 25 or so have been far more polished and easy to listen to than the first dozen or so.
What was the issue with the first one compared? What did you fix?
So it took me a while to troubleshoot a problem I had with one of my microphone my microphone cables. Whenever it would transmit sound from the microphone to the board, there was this tinny, ringing, almost tuning fork style noise that would happen. And I did a lot of post process work to edit it out of the files. And then I realized one day that it was the cord itself, and I could, get a new cable, and then that solved the problem. So yay for learning things the hard way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it worked out. And so far I've been able to sit down with other podcasters, other content creator people and talk about what it's like to do what we do as an art form or as a way to generate media and share information. And I've talked to artists, and I've talked to people I've never met, and I've talked to all sorts of other people that have been willing and enthusiastic, such as yourself. So I don't try to be super limited or narrow scoped with the term creative, because everybody is creative in different ways. So I don't want to exclude anybody, but I just kind of bounce from person to person or try to track down people I want to talk to and just kind of go with the flow as it happens. When I called you the other day, I didn't expect you to be enthusiastic and say, hey, let's do it tomorrow. Cause normally I have to schedule these things a couple weeks out. Or at least try to.
One of my coaching things right there. when I call a player is there's nothing better than a quick yes or a quick no.
Well, you gave me an enthusiastic answer, and you gave it to me on the spot, and I was super appreciative of it, and that made this a lot easier.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's the thing is like, you go and talk to a player about, hey, I'll offer you a deal. You want to do it right now? Play in Knoxville. Oh, I got to talk to my agent. I got to talk to my mom. I got to talk to my dog. I got to talk to my other dog about it.
Yeah,
okay.
Whoever.
It's offer. Then, I'll probably not take that call back again. So,
well, I mean, when you present that to somebody, they know what sounds good and they know what doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I'm just all for it. I think like you're taking the time to call, to do the equipment, to do all that. I mean, let's do it. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I dove in head first, and it's kind of how I operate when I fall into any new hobby or area of interest. People ask me occasionally, if it ever comes up in conversation about how I don't drink coffee, they'll ask me why I don't drink coffee. And I say, I know how I get when I find a new hobby, and I just don't have that sort of time. I've got enough hobbies as it is.
I'm with you on that.
So I dive in head first or feet first, however you want to say it, and I'm up to my eyeballs for however long it takes me to feel satisfied with the knowledge that I've gained and comfortable with what I can do with said knowledge, and then I just I pack that up and I make sure that all these things are in order and that I'm comfortable, and then once that happens, maybe I move on to the next thing. But coffee drinking is one of those things that I just know I would be that guy that has like 4 French presses and, very special beans and all the things. So I just don't get into it.
Really? You take things like that?
Yeah, I would. The logic applies to other like creative aspects of my life as well. But coffee being a very tangible example that a lot of people are familiar with.
I got you.
I would go deep, and I would go deep very fast and try to find the bottom of the rabbit hole, and then see what happens. I just don't need to do that with some things, and coffee is one of them.
Maybe you should try. Tell me how the bottom of the rabbit hole is.
Well, maybe one day. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just ruling it out right now.
All right, fair enough.
So, Jeff, what does coaching look like in the off season? Are you in full vacation mode right now?
Well, it's changed a little different from year to year. I think the biggest thing is, when you apply the proper amount of time and what type of coach you want to be for these guys. So for me, there's going to be the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? Every year, whether it's going to be coaching here or getting offers from other stuff, is plotting yourself. I have a family, obviously, with my wife, and putting ourselves in the best spot for us and talking with her year to year. That usually takes a couple weeks. There's the inventory side that, we're sealing up basically the equipment managing and all that. I'm basically in charge for, that inventory and that budget, all the players and the travel, the closing up of all the apartments. I'm in charge of that. The athletic training, the same thing. If there's turnover in sick boys, equipment manager, athletic trainers, am I helping them advance their career to another level? If so, then go on a national search of, 30 to hire the equipment manager and the athletic trainer. That was 30 to 35 athletic trainers applied all over the country. So you can imagine trying to get back to 35 of them and then narrowing it down to hire one. And then the same thing with the equipment manager.
That's a serious hiring effort regardless of the context.
Yeah. And then you're going to have 25 to 40 players you've coached that are all looking for ECHL camps. So you're toggling that, and then you're watching the NHL draft and where guys are slotting and stuff like that. And then what, the ECHL affiliates think that they're going to get from their camps. You're on the phone nonstop for those. And then you're recruiting, 18 to 20 players to 25 for your own camp. Filling a free agent camp of 30 to 40 guys. You're finding refs for that and slotting the ice time and putting a camp on together for that. Just kind of all those little things. Can you do them? Yeah. It takes time. It takes, recruiting alone is a good month and a half of just nonstop phone calls, 10 hours a day. And they're going to be follow-up phone calls. So, about 4 or 5 years ago, I would honestly make between 30 and 35 phone calls a day for about 120 off-season days. So probably around 3,000, 4,000 phone calls a summer.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah, those days are done for me. So I try to be smarter with my time. I try to actually give some time to my wife, and I'm already vested 24/7. So yeah, when you talk about vacation mode, health is extremely important to me. When I have sun, when I'm in good shape, when I'm not, I'm just not a big drinker. So try not to drink much alcohol, if any, in the summer. Maybe pick my spots of a few times. I've never been just kind of how you are with, like the coffee side. It's not like drinking, but I've never been a guy that's propping my feet up on the recliner when I get home and having a beer. So it's not for me. The same thing with, food choices. I want to have maximum amount of energy and enjoy all the sunlight all the time in the off season. Try to golf a little bit, limit as many phone calls. I don't mean what we're doing here, not at all. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to chase around, 1,000 phone calls in May to bug guys to play in the SHL next year. So those things, and then just procuring and helping these players and trying to help our staff and help in whatever way we can. And obviously been in finalists for some jobs at some higher levels and different levels the last few years, and don't want to dismiss that, and always, see what's in the best interest of me and my wife. And that's, I guess, the gist of an off season.
It sounds like an enjoyable handful of things to take care of.
Yeah, it is. It's not too bad, and it's simple and less is more, right? So if it's something's going to bog me down for 3-4 weeks, and I didn't even talk to the late, once it's August 1st, then it's full tilt on recruiting and immigration, because we do all the filing. That takes a good 80 to 100 hours to put those packets together. So time you do that, and the camp and the hiring and then the recruiting, you're basically 40 to 45 entities that take 2 to 3 days. There's your 80 some days right there in the off season.
Yeah. Now, one of the behind the scenes things that people don't really realize, like you mentioned the immigration and all that jazz. Like obviously that's the thing that has to happen, that bureaucratic bit of paperwork, but like how much of that really happens? Does it just depend on how many players you recruit or who's coming into play, or
for immigration, or just all paperwork?
No, immigration specifically, because I know the we have a lot of European players all across the different tiers of hockey in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, immigration, basically, your guys that come over on P as in Paul, P1s, P are visitors. So at the end of summer, it's such a tricky part of our business. At the end of the day, I can go sign 8 players legally, right? They're signed, they're going to play in Knoxville, maybe New Mexico. And when I mean legal, I don't mean like under the table money. I just mean like I'm recruiting them to play hockey.
Right.
Or you can do it a lot of teams and fake sign 15 to 17 players, some guys that haven't even played in the last 5 years. And then you file their immigration, they all get approved on a P1. So then let's say only 10 of them are in Knoxville. Now I have say 7 left that I can basically sub out. So let's say I put your name on the immigration. Now obviously it'd be a guy that's played hockey, and you have no intention of playing for the Ice Bears, and you're staying and living over in Finland, but you get approved. Now at the trade deadline, or when colleges are out, or when I can now substitute a Canadian and use your name for that substitution. And now I don't have to go and file a whole nother petition and wait. There's a lot of behind closed door stuff with that. So like a lot of players, like Vermillion wasn't versed on immigration. They had a player, his immigration ran out. So the guy's going to have to tag back up, Alexi Gerard. So they basically had to trade him for nothing for us.
Yeah,
so,
these are all aspects of the game at a professional level that are totally foreign to me, and that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, and I think too, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, the same thing you were doing with the rink is it's just a different way. Like, okay, we're doing this. Does it make more sense to do this, but it might cost more, or it might take more brain power now, but it's going to save us a lot of hassle, right? So immigration is like, key ones are going to be an issue. So let's oversign guys, but it's tricky because now you can't go sign guys that don't want to play, and it's a mess. So you just got to be a little ahead of it. You got to sign as many immigration slots as you can, and you got to stay up to date with like two of our Swedish players, Granit and Lars Lindback. We were told by the ECHL and the NBA lawyer that there was 0% chance that a Scandinavian country, European, was going to be able to play in pro hockey this year. We had two. They found a way with a loophole to go to Estonia, spend the night in Estonia, got reciprocity immigration from there to Sweden, flew over, and then played for us. Legal.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And one of those guys is the one that broke his hand the last day. It just shows you how much you care. That's my whole point. So it's like, when I get told an answer is going to be no, I'm not going to be okay with that. Even if it's going to be an NBA lawyer that makes millions of dollars telling me there's a 0% chance, we will find a way.
Well, that determination goes a long way.
Yeah, and I mean, that's winning, right? Like, you can't win. You're not going to be above 500 if you don't have a winning culture, if you don't have people that want to push the envelope.
Yeah, willing and enthusiastic about, finding where the edge of whatever is.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So glory to the loopholes that let this happen, I guess.
100%. And thank you, Estonia. I thought that was just a country on Encino, man, Brendan Fraser, but I guess it's a real place.
Oh, what a callback. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I knew that you have seen that movie. I could just sense it.
It's an excellent movie. A 90s gem, if I say so myself.
I agree. The way Pauly Shore runs off of that chair to get to the prom, I mean, that is one of the funniest runs I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the premise of that movie is absolutely ridiculous, so everything after that's just going to be gold.
I know, and I hate fake stuff like that would never really happen. Like, I just do not watch movies like that, but it was just so funny. How could you not?
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but I may have to turn that on this weekend.
I agree.
If I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do.
So
you find it into a DVD bin at a pilot store, just let me know.
Hey, I will get two if I find them.
Yeah, I'll give you the $3.95 with tax for it.
We'll call it even with just the DVD. So I can't really ask you a lot of the questions I would ask, artists or musicians or something, but I feel the series of questions that we've gotten to are pretty solid. I'm going to ask you a couple more and then we can go about our ways this afternoon. But one of my favorite questions to ask anybody I have on the other side of this microphone is your creative process in somewhere in it, do you find catharsis, flow state, zen mind, any of that? Because if this is a thing that you enjoy and you're skilled at and you've been doing for a while, you should be able to just kind of fall into it and do. Does that make sense?
Oh, like the zen side?
Yeah. Do you ever find that when you're coaching?
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, Phil Jackson made a living out of that with the Chicago Bulls. And obviously, he had Michael Jordan and Kobe and Shaq when he went to LA. But yeah, I mean, that side, like trying to read a room and read a group of guys, like they'll tell you everything. Like if it's 5 minutes into a season or 5 days into a season or 5 games into a season and there's no scars, there's no fighting, there's no blood and tears, there's no guys slamming the boards, then you have a team full of guys that don't want to win and don't want to be there. So why would I go and waste my time of trying to be zenful and trying to now it's got to go to trade mode, and now it's got to go to cut mode, and now I got to upgrade. On the other side of that spectrum, you're 5-7 games in and you see guys blocking shots and guys fighting and guys super early to the rink and caring. Now they've put me in that Zen mode. Like, this is a group of guys that I just love and want to work with. Now you really go to the depths of your soul and the depths of coaching. And again, you don't want to overanalyze it or over excel it, but you like, what's the aura? Sometimes the aura of that. So it's, you'll push two guys that, are just the best players on the team and call them out in front of everyone and just say, I thought guys like you would roll up your sleeves and put this city on your back, but I guess I'm wrong. And, get into that creative friction that it's going to cause, right? The same thing with guys that just need to step away from the rink, and then guys that just need to maybe meditate, guys that need to just completely, you do something physical to the point where you physically are at your wit's end, that you just break yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. You come back the next day or two with a new perspective. I'm big in all of those types of things. So yeah, I mean, getting to do it through the sport I love the most. I mean, it's 100%. I think of that stuff all the time.
Well, since you're not my normal, guest on this show, I was really curious what kind of answer you would have for that question. And I'm really happy you have the answer that you have. So I'm very pleased to hear this, and I'm happy you have that as a professional and in an area of your life that you are so deeply invested in.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that for a long time, and just the aura, like it. You know where the Zen started for me? I'll be honest.
Yeah.
There's this kid that I was coaching, and about 8-9 years ago, he's 19 years old, and he was one of those kids that he was a 100-meter champion. He was a runner. He was a sprinter. He had veins running course through his body. He was just a type A athletic. He wasn't that good of a hockey player, but he just, I was so envious. He used to drink literally like a 2-liter of Mountain Dew on every road trip and just eat junk. And he was just ripped out of his mind. And it's like, gosh, that just pisses me off that guy is built like that. But he wasn't the best, and when I just removed all of the kind of the things and the thoughts and the theories around him and me and lifting and nutrition and all the bullshit, to be honest. And I just came up to him. We were on a road trip, and he had a good game the game before. And I bought him a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. And all the other guys know I was really big into health and fitness stuff. And I handed him, a player on our team, the head coach.
So this is a weird moment right here about to go down.
Yeah. I hand him a 2-liter of Mountain Dew to start the road trip. And I remember, I mean, I want to be quick and linear here, but the North Dakota college hockey team is like the Yankees in baseball or the Bulls in basketball, right? Like, they're the best of the best. And I remember Dave Haxtell, the coach of the Seattle Kraken, was the assistant associate coach back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they had the Panzer, Jay and Jeff Panzer brothers. Found out a story that in the late 90s, they took soda off the bus. Now, this is the head coach now of the Seattle Kraken in the NHL, and he's probably late 20s, early 30s, and the star of the team came and said, "Hey, why is there no soda on our bus trip?" So Hack said that he didn't want any soda. We're going to be a nutritious team. We're the number one team in the country in Division I hockey, blah, blah, blah. Jeff or Jay, don't quote me on that, gets off the bus and said, "Listen, in 30 minutes, I'm going to go load my stuff up. If I come back, there better be soda on this bus." This is the star 20-year-old of the team. So, of course, Hack puts it on and stuff. So it's like one of those things where that kid needed soda. He was the best player. So when I handed, this kid the 2-liter of soda, I just said, "Hey, man, like, get in your element, drink your soda, and you better show up tonight, all right? And every time you show up, you're going to have a 2-liter waiting for you." He played the best hockey he's ever played the last 15, 20 games of the season.
He had a clear avenue between action and reward, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, we do that all the time with guys that are golfers. I'll bring in the the cup, and we'll do putting before practice for conditioning, and just some stuff that guys get. And I always try to find the guys that think they can eat the most on the team and needle them and think that, beat them in a eating contest, and just some real life. Like, these guys, they're going to love hockey, but they're not going to want to talk it 24/7. So got to find some zen, some ways that make them tick.
And that goes back to that, managing personalities too, because you can't
sure.
eat, sleep, breathe it 24/7 all the time.
No, I mean, I agree. And even I think I can. It takes, it's like anything. You got to find out what recharges your batteries and when.
Yeah, definitely. Because personnel, they're people first.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so last question I generally ask people on the program is, who would you like to see in your shoes on the program? Like, who would you like to hear me talk to?
On your program?
Yeah.
I'll give you two. I think the number one is, obviously, you might as well try to get a guy that everyone's trying to get right now, and Tony Vitello. And I think the reason why you try to get Coach Vitello is he is making no qualms with being the bad guy of college baseball.
Oh, and I love it.
And I do too. But you know what? Like his answer a month ago, or a month and a half, or in game 3, 4, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I thought our starting pitcher was going to have a better off season and be a little bit stronger, but I guess he was. And just the dog eat dog within their own locker room, I think is huge. And how he's going about, did he construct this as it came to fruition even better than he thought and stuff like that. And then I tell you what, you should go to, you should interview. I cannot believe I'm blanking on the gentleman's name. I feel terrible for not thinking. The first bank guy. We do the first bank goal of the game.
Yeah.
And incredible guy. I feel so bad that I'm blanking on him. I can get you his name later. But
yeah, you can text me with that anytime.
Yeah, he's president of the First Bank, and he does an awesome tailgate, and he's rooted in this city, and he's just doing some awesome stuff. And he was just talking to me, and it blew my mind that, I said, he said, yeah, I'm finding a guy, because I'm always looking for a good captain or leader. And one of those guys that's writing all the home loans and mortgages. And he said, yeah, I'm letting them fail on some big mortgages. Like, oh, like I'm kind of a system or a program. He's like, no, in real life, I'm letting them write bad loans. I'm like, why? He's like, well, because then I'll learn more, and then it'll help him in his career for the next 4 years. And it's like, you're willing to lose $50,000 on a guy that maybe you give, the guy writes at 2.7% APR when it should be 4 or 5, and you give some of your bank's money for this guy to real life screw up, to accelerate his learning, to challenge him to become better than he can and make great deals for your company. And it's genius, but it takes risk right at the table to do that. So I talked with him for a long time at the tailgate. He's an incredible sponsor of ours, and just a guy like that, to have the balls to do something like that. And then also a guy like that, from Ohio, football area, he's in Knoxville, loves the tailgate, building a great, bank and brand. And that just scratched the surface of me being intrigued of, like, how did you get from a young kid to a boy to a high school student to a college to building this bank in Knoxville to letting guys write bad loans to do that? Like, how did that?
What went wrong here to make this go so
yeah,
right?
And what went right? Maybe he has some stuff figured out. So I think those two would be awesome because, he's a bank. He deals with all relationships and things like that. So it'd be pretty cool.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate those suggestions. You can text me that fella's information if you want me to give him a call. Whenever you
and I'll have
convenient.
to get his number. Yeah, I'll find it for sure, and shoot me a text too of just saying, "Hey, First Bank," and I'll see if I can, at least get an email or a number and pop it over to you.
All right, and for the record, since I can say this on the record now, I have emailed Tony Vitello, so we'll see if I get an email back.
Yeah, I'm sure he's highly sought after, but yeah, that's
he's a busy
definitely.
man.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
the emails have been sent to him and Rick Barnes both. So there's that. But I called you personally because I knew you well enough to call you up on the phone, and I was happy you were enthusiastic. Jeff, it has been an excellent time having this conversation. I greatly appreciate your enthusiasm and willingness to have this conversation with me. Everybody, this is Jeff Carr of the Knoxville Ice Bears. Jeff, would you mind to brag on yourself a little bit about the record-breaking season you had? We didn't mention it, but I want to highlight it, so will you please?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize until after the game. I mean, I'm so bad at stuff like that. I didn't even know it going into the game. But, yeah, just a testament to our fans, our players, and all the staff and everyone. Just it was an awesome Knoxville Ice Bear award. But, yeah, we set the all-time SBHL record of 42-10-4. Most wins in a season. And, again, it wasn't the ultimate prize that we all wanted so badly, but at least we put a banner up in the stands or
it's
in the rafters. Yeah, it was a big one for the organization. Was just so happy to see it for our guys.
And during hockey season, we can hear you on the Rock Sports Show Wednesday nights, right?
Yep, do that. And then also on WBLT, they cover once in a while, and WBR, but Wait TV, WAT is our main flagship station. They're on Sunday nights. I do our coach show through them, and then some just various other interviews.
Yeah, I usually listen to you on the Rock Sports Show every Wednesday night because I keep my radio dial tuned to 90.3 when I'm driving around town. And it's good to hear you call in there, and it's good to have you on the phone. So I'm going to play us out. Thank you very much. Everybody, if you want to support the KAAMP, you can buy my art at the Twisted Wrist on Instagram or Facebook. You can share this episode and tell all of your lovely friends to put it in their damn ear holes because, that's where it needs to go. If you put it anywhere else, then I'm not asking any questions. But leave me a review on iTunes. I'm officially up on iTunes now. I'm on Spotify, all the places. Everybody, thank you for listening. Enjoy. And I'll talk at you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.